Hello, friends. This is Aaron Snodderly with your Capital Update for the week of April 4th, 2022. We have a lot of things we want to update you concerning legislation in our great state of Tennessee, but we're going to try to be brief, not quite as long as we have been in previous broadcasts, because we have a busy schedule today and a lot going on. And so I ask you to listen closely so that you'll learn everything the first time through, if at all possible. The first thing I want to talk to you about today is President Joe Biden's efforts concerning transgender visibility. Now, if you're like me, when you first heard that, you thought to yourself, transgender visibility, what does that mean? Well, apparently, according to what amounts to a press release on the whitehouse.gov website this past Thursday, March 31st, 2022, President Joe Biden and, of course, his sidekick Kamala Harris have agreed with these people that apparently they struggle with visibility. In other words, not only is the transgender community confused about whether or not their biological sex determines their gender. Some of the men think that they might be women, and of course, women think that they are men. And so apparently, President Biden thinks that not only are they confused about these things, but they must be confused about whether or not they're even visible to the world. And so he has decided that he needs to do some things to increase their visibility so that they're not quite so invisible. Now, I don't know about you, but normally when you're in a crowd of people, a transgender person generally sticks out pretty obviously. And so the very fact that they are calling this trans visibility to me is, of course, misleading and just an attempt basically to tell you and I that we're wrong because we don't promote them and celebrate them like they celebrate themselves. Now, if this isn't bad enough, what President Biden wants to do with these trans visibility efforts of his is he wants to reinforce federal protections for transgender kids. He also wants to advance the dignity, respect, and self-determination for transgender people by improving the traveler experience. Now, really quick, before we read the rest of these things, when was the last time you heard President Biden say he wanted to advance the dignity and respect and self-determination of Christians or of white people or of even Asian Americans? When was the last time you heard this? But yet that's exactly what he wants to do for transgender people. And of course, it's because they have this Transgender Visibility Day that they celebrate. I mean, as if they haven't got enough days and months to celebrate already. They have June designated, self-designated, I might say, as Pride Month, where they celebrate their ungodly alternative lifestyles. But then they also have this Trans Visibility Day. And again, they're not only confused about their gender, but apparently they're confused about whether or not people can see them. And so President Biden said, hey, I may not want to advance the dignity, respect, and self-determination of Christians or of white people or of patriots or something like that, but I do want to advance the respect and dignity and self-determination of people who are confused about their gender. Then he goes on later to say that he also wants to provide resources for transgender kids and their families. Did you know there are cities and counties across the country right now that pay people a stipend per month if they are transgender? There's one city in particular that pays people up to $900 a month just for saying on a form somewhere that they are transgender and in essence confused about their gender. And so this is ridiculous. But what he's wanting to do is he's wanting to add to some of these resources. He's actually encouraging other states and counties to pay people, in essence, to declare themselves to be transgender. In other words, the way they want to promote themselves, since they cannot have kids, is to try to recruit people financially and otherwise. This is a scary thing. Now, he's, of course, providing mental health resources. Now, that is understandable because if someone is so confused about their gender, then it makes sense that maybe someone should sit down with them and try to explain with them that their anatomy tells them what they are. They're a man or a woman. But of course, this isn't the kind of mental health resource President Biden wants to offer them. He wants gender affirming mental health and resources made available to these people to encourage them to continue to say, even though their biological sex says they're a man or a woman, they can choose whatever they want to be. And so, of course, his mental health resources are nothing but really just more promotion of their wicked alternative lifestyle. He wants to confirm the positive impact of gender affirming care on youth and their mental health. In other words, this is just another way to promote this kind of ungodly lifestyle, this unnatural lifestyle, this lifestyle that is based in no form of common sense or human reasoning whatsoever. And yet he wants to promote it to our youth. There's many other things he wants to do. He wants to improve access to federal services, and here it is again, benefits for transgender Americans. And we could go on and on. It's really quite a sad letter to think that with all that's going on in the world, our president is concerned that maybe transgender people are not only misunderstanding their own biological sex, but they're also confused about whether or not they're even visible. And if he thinks these things are going to make them visible, he needs to remember that God has an all-seeing eye. He can see everything that happens. He sees things done in the dark and those things done in the light. And the last thing you want to do is flaunt an alternative lifestyle that goes against the words of Genesis, where God said that he created man and woman, not something interchangeable, not something that they can mix between the two, but simply a man or a woman. And the last thing they want to do is flaunt an ungodly lifestyle that contradicts those words and make it even more visible to God. So pray for our country, pray for our president. Right now, we need to pray that God would give him leadership concerning the issue in Iraq and concerning the issue in Russia and so many other places around the world. He needs help. He needs wisdom from on high, but he also needs wisdom to understand that what he's doing with the transgender community is a slap in the face to Almighty God. Now, there are several things that I want to mention to you really quick here in the great state of Tennessee. For instance, concerning the transgender issue, there is a bill that we haven't mentioned to you. It's HB 1895. And its Senate equivalent is SB 1861. These are being sponsored by our good friends, Representative John Reagan and Senator Hensley. And basically what this bill would do is it would require the State Commissioner of Education to withhold a portion of an LEA's funds if they allow transgender students to compete in female athletic competitions. If you'll recall, last year, Representative Reagan did an outstanding job moving legislation through our legislative process that would prohibit boys who now claim to be transgender girls from participating in high school female athletic competitions. It passed, it became law. We thank him for it. Well, now this year, the bill would state that he is sponsoring that if a school disobeys the law and allows a boy who now declares himself to be a girl to participate in female high school athletic competitions, then the Commissioner of Education would be required to withhold a portion of their funding. And we're very pleased with this legislation. We like it. And we just wish that it would state that it would withhold all of their funding so that they would be more inclined to abide by the actual law. So this bill, believe it or not, has already passed the full House, and it's scheduled to be voted on by the full Senate probably this week. If not this week, then next week. We actually expect it to pass and become law, and we fully expect the governor to sign it into law. Now, concerning Representative Reagan's other bill, HB 2316, that is similar to the high school bill he passed last year, but this one would actually only apply to college athletic competitions and forbid men who declare themselves suddenly to be women. It would prohibit them from participating in female athletic competitions. It passed the House Civil Justice Committee and is now scheduled to be heard by the Finance, Ways and Means Committee in the House. It also passed in the Senate, the Education Committee, and is now scheduled to be voted on by the full Senate. This bill as well, we believe, will pass and the governor will sign it into law. Please pray that it does. Now, HB 800 and SB 1216 by Senator Frank Nicely and Representative Bruce Griffey is kind of moving a little bit slow right now. This is the bill that would prohibit schools from promoting the LGBTQ lifestyle. We 100% support this legislation. They really have no business promoting anything. Their job is to teach children the basic principles of education. They have no business promoting the LGBTQ lifestyle. It's moving a little slowly, not quite sure how much further it's going to make it this year, but hopefully, Lord willing, if not this year, it'll pass next year and become law. Please pray that it does. Concerning the Religious Freedom Bill, that we've talked to you about by Representative Rusty Grills. It passed last year, HB 1137. This year, SB 1197, its Senate equivalent, has passed as well, and it is scheduled to be on the governor's desk this week, awaiting his signature. It's passed both the House and the Senate, and we expect the governor to sign it into law, if not this week, then next week. Now, we thank Representative Rusty Grills and Janice Bowling for championing the cause of religious liberty in our state. Concerning the marriage license bill that we talked to you about many times throughout the last few months, it passed the House, HB 233 did, and is now scheduled to be heard by the House Civil Justice Committee, most likely this upcoming Wednesday. It passed the Senate Judiciary Committee already and is scheduled to be heard this Thursday by the full Senate. It's going to be voted on by the full Senate. So please pray for the Senate body to pass it and pray that the House Civil Justice Committee will pass it as well. Now, I want to talk to you really quick about the abortion bill, SB 2281, which is known as the Tennessee Abortion-Inducing Drug Risk Protocol Act, and it has passed the Senate Judiciary Committee and is now scheduled to be heard by the House Gov Ops Committee this Monday, which would be April the 4th. So please continue to pray for this. There is some question as to whether or not it will pass this year. I believe it will, but we'll just have to wait and see. Also, HB 2557 and its equivalent, SB 2158. These are being sponsored by Representative Moody and Senator Joey Hensley. This is the bill that would prohibit an LEA or any kind of education system in our state from on the education level, the elementary school level and high school level. It would prohibit them from giving any money whatsoever to abortion or working with organizations that fund abortion. So we're looking forward to this bill passing. It's already passed the full House. It's scheduled to be heard by the full Senate possibly this week. If not, then most likely next week. We think it's going to pass. Right now, this has been a pretty good year for the most part for conservatives, so we expect this bill to pass as well. Now, the Appropriate Library Materials Act, which is HB 1944 and SB 1944, has now passed the full House this past Monday, March 28th. Praise the Lord for that. We're glad that our state representatives understood why we needed to pass this legislation so that we ensure that there's appropriate material in our libraries and our parents have a recourse to try and address inappropriate material. But now it's scheduled to be heard in the Senate Education Committee this upcoming week. So it passed the Senate Education Committee and is scheduled to be heard by the Senate Judiciary Committee most likely this upcoming week. Please pray that they pass it as well. HB 2454 also deals with inappropriate material in our school libraries, and it would deal more so with that of technology and things that our students and our children can view online through school computers in the library. So it's already passed the State Senate Judiciary Committee and is now scheduled to be heard by the House Education Committee this Wednesday. This bill likewise needs to pass. HB 2330 by Representative Rush Bricken. It's the gun bill that would grant a lifetime carry permit to anyone who has it. We're still not exactly sure where this bill is headed, and we're not quite sure why they have placed it behind the budget. But as of now, it has passed the Senate Judiciary Committee and is now scheduled to be heard by the Senate Finance, Ways and Means Committee here soon. And Lord willing, the House will pick it up again as well. We need this bill to pass. There's a lot of good things happening in our state and our country. Friends, let me say again, we do not hate anybody who disagrees with our legislative agenda, but just as they have the right to have their legislative opinions, we do as well. And while we disagree with the transgender lifestyle, while we disagree with things like abortion, We love these people anyways, and we want them to experience the love of Jesus. And so I encourage you, speak your political opinions. Let people know what you believe about the transgender issue. Let people know where you stand on the pro-life issue, but do so in a kind, loving manner. Let them know, let them hear, and let them feel the love of Jesus through you while you disagree with their political philosophies. Thank you so much for watching. I pray that God will use each of us to bless America. If you get a chance, please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Maybe share it on all your social media platforms so we can spread the word and others can watch in the future. We thank you for investing in your future through our ministry.